RV dump station pad. And there was some disagreement on who was responsible for the bill.
No good.
So I figured for $1,000 it wasn't another in the local
Yeah, until
swell.
season starts, yeah, or so then.
My clock says 5 o'clock. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thanks everybody for coming. Start with routine business. Open Meetings Act is posted on the northwest wall. If anybody wants to browse through that. And next is roll call. Lisa?
Sean?
Here.
Brad?
Yes.
Kent?
Here.
And Dustin is absent.
We'll call it excuse since you let us know ahead of time. All right, would y'all join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, folks. Move on to the consent agenda. As always, you can consider items individually or approve all of them in one motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Go ahead and call roll.
Brad?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
All right, thanks, guys. Next on to the mayor's appointments and report. I guess the only thing I might report is that we had a meeting scheduled with the law enforcement committee, but then sheriff was out of town, so we weren't able to have that meeting. So we will try to reschedule and continue to work through that process. Other than that, nobody has any questions. I don't have any appointments tonight.
Don't forget you gotta reappoint me on the planning commission sometime. Replace me.
Right.
Okay.
They haven't had any meetings yet. Yeah, we'll get that. I usually do those in flurries.
I know.
get caught up with about 4 or 5 of them all in one meeting. But yeah, thanks for the reminder. Tonight we don't have any public hearings and no old business. We actually have a brief agenda tonight, mostly procedural stuff, so may get you home early for supper, but we'll see. On to the regular agenda. The first item is to discuss and consider a special designated liquor license for the Elks Lodge for the Chamber of Commerce event here. I guess that's been a couple different locations in the past, but
Yeah, I think they had it at the Elks maybe last year, and they thought they had outgrown that facility. Would like to have it here this year in the gym.
I guess this is a community center. I kind of like it that community events are being held here, more of them now, so I think it's a nice deal.
I'll make a motion to approve the special designated liquor license for Elks Lodge 1790 for the Ainsworth Chamber of Commerce Gala to be held at the Conference Center January 13th, 2024 from 3 p.m. until 12 a.m. January 14th, 2024.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Call roll.
Kent?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
All right, 3 to 12, now that's a party. Next item is to consider recommendation by the Committee on Housing to approve applicant number 1867 for a level A 100% loan of $25,000.
Yeah, so the housing committee met, gosh, I don't know, a week or so ago, and reviewed this and have recommended approval. And the way these typically work You know, CDS still coordinates this for us, and so they do all the inspections and the administrative work. The contractors work through bids with the homeowners and then through CDS, and so basically this applicant is eligible for a 0% interest loan. It's over a 20-year period. And we facilitate, once the loan is closed, the city facilitates that, puts a lien on the property, administrates the collection of the loan payments. And there's over $150,000 in the fund right now, so there's lots of room for applicants. I think right now we have 11 loans, and you know, it's reuse, so as they make payments back in, it gets loaned back out. It's a good program. Anybody have a question on it?
What kind of lien does the city have if they, you know, 20-year loan is a long time. Is there any collateral or anything that the city has?
Not really. It's like a first position lien, just on
You
the
just take
property
possession of the
itself.
property.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if they ever wanna, there's an obligation they're committed to, you know, the loan, if they sell the property or move, they have to pay the loan in full at close, things like that. But
I think that came up once a few
we've
years
had
ago.
that come
didn't it?
up twice since I've been here, actually.
You know, different if you have a bank mortgage, you gotta pay the mortgage when you close.
It's a good program. We've actually been really fortunate. We've really had very few issues with, you know, collecting payments on the loans.
One way to help with rehabbing some properties a little bit, so.
And I assume there's various income guidelines?
Yep. There's like an A, B, and C category. A is your probably your lower income. B and C, I think it goes up to 2% interest is the, or is it 4? It might actually be 4 on the high end. And then there's another category for like 65 and older that's a forgivable, 10-year forgivable mortgage.
All right.
Look at you two
Move
perk up a little bit
Move
all
up
of a
to the
sudden.
gold tees.
Yeah.
And we do have a few, you know, on that category as well.
I'll make a motion to approve application number 1867 for a level A 100% loan at 0% interest in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Sean?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Clint?
Yeah.
Motion carried unanimously. Thanks. Moving on to subdivision request. Township 30 North, Range 22 West of the 6th Prime Meridian in Brown County. It sounds like this is outside of city limits, but within our jurisdiction, so we have to at least approve it.
Yeah, it's within the 1 mile, so that falls under our scope, I guess, when it comes to zoning issues. So this is just, and you can see on the plot of survey that's attached, this little corner section that's wanting to be divided off. 5.89 acres.
5.89 is subdivision.
Yes.
What's the total tract?
Um,
Let's say it on there
do you know,
anyway.
Todd, what the total tract is?
Well, pit corner.
So, but it meets, I'm sure it meets all zoning requirements.
Yeah, the agricultural zone, which is that 1 mile, requires a 3 acre, a minimum of a 3 acre plot, so I mean, as far as I'm aware, it complies with everything. Anybody have any questions? I said Todd might know a little bit more than I do, but.
Comments or?
So I'll move we approve the request. for Township 30 North, Range 22, west of 6 PM in Brown County, tract of land located in the northeast quarter of Section 35.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Go ahead, call the roll.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. All right, we're moving right along. Next is resolution number 23-11, year-end certification of street superintendent. Another kind of procedural item.
Sure, so we just did one of these in October for the kind of the year-end revenue and expense and all that, highway allocation funds. This is the actual just, certification or affirmation that we do in fact have a street superintendent appointed or contracted or on staff, whichever the case may be. For the year 2023. Of course, at the reorganization meeting in December every year, we do it as appointments, so Lloyd was appointed at that meeting. So basically, we're just saying that yes, he was appointed for 2023. If you have any further questions, it's pretty much all it is.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 23-11, signing of the year-end certification of the city street superintendent for 2023.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Do you get additional highway allocation for that?
It's just the $3,000 incentive.
3,000 incentive for having one?
And I imagine this is just their verification for how they trigger that incentive payment.
Do you have to have Lloyd on a retainer or a certain amount, or does he just work as needed?
He just does as needed, and then he just bills us his actual
Yeah.
per hour
You don't have to give
cost.
him a minimum to be your
No,
superintendent.
and so, I mean, technically speaking, that $3,000 incentive for the work that Lloyd does for us pretty much covers
Should cover it.
everything that he does, so that's helpful.
Any other? Go ahead and call the roll.
9,000.
Kent?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Next item is to discuss and consider pension transfer reserve funds into higher interest accounts. And this will follow up from last one.
Yeah, so last month we moved the unspent fire funds, and then, we talked about the 82,000 and change or whatever that was at the money market. So we moved all of that. The total was $95,421 that we ended up moving into the CD from last month. So there's 1,000 and change left in that fire money market. So we talked about moving potentially, or talking about moving some of these other funds. So I did drop on your tablet a money market list, I guess, of accounts and what those amounts are. In total, there's like $318,341 divided up amongst various accounts: sewer, water, water well, water tower, street, park pool, East Airport, and general. CD rates at West Plains are pretty similar to what we brought here last month. It's 5 1/4 essentially at a 9-month CD of anything over 25,000, and then the 2-year is about at 5 1/4. Another alternative though, that's a little bit more liquid when you're talking multiple funds, and most of these, I would say confidently, I've worked here for 8 years, we've not touched a penny. And I like it that way, like,
It's a fallback in
these
case we have
should
an
be
emergency.
rainy day, emergency funds, so in that regard, we're lucky that we have not, needed them. But with that being said, you never know, right? You know, what could happen, and whether you wanna lock these away for 2 years, I don't know. The end fit, I don't know if you guys remember, this would have been a year and a half, 2 years ago. We moved our NPATE funds into NFIT. Basically, it was the Nebraska Public Alliance Investment Trust. They were a Nebraska-based government investment agency, and they basically contracted everything to Illinois. And in response to that, Union Bank and Trust kind of developed their own Nebraska-based government agency trust, which was NFIT. And so the council at that time decided to move the NPATE monies into NFIT, and NFIT was actually garnering way better interest than NPATE was as well. So looking at that today, with all that being said, NFIT's getting us about 5.15% per month, and it's a liquid account, much like a money market. You can move it, you can transfer it, you can daily if you want without penalty. So I think maybe my recommendation, you guys can do what you want, but I'm thinking, given that there's not a lot of difference in those rates, I think I might stick that stuff in NFIT.
That's not local though, is it? A local bank or anything?
Mr. UBT.
Oh, okay.
And that rate is not locked in, so it must be very.
It fluctuates.
Yeah.
It's been at about 5 for a while, hasn't it, Cody?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
But where it's liquid, if it ever drops down, you know, and the CD rate is a better rate, you'd be no penalty to pull it out and do something different.
But when you was talking about that, what I was thinking, if we stayed with the CDs, you know, we could divide it up in 3 different CDs. And that way, if you did have an emergency, you could at least pull one out and the other 2 could stay in there.
So the only thing with that is, these are all restricted funds, and in the sense that they're designated for various purposes, you know, so like you've got 49,000 and change, that's just general. That one could be applied to anything that you wanted, but like you've got East Airport, Park Pearl Street, Water Road.
So you could combine them in and put them into one CD?
You probably could, but I would say for your proprietary funds, your water, sewer, street, I don't think that, I don't wanna say it wouldn't be allowed, but I don't know that that would be what we would wanna do.
I don't wanna complicate it.
I think you wanna keep those separated out.
so if you go with this NFIT, you just have all those separate. You'd still have
Yep, and
different
I
accounts.
talked to her today to confirm that
Okay.
yes, we can have sub-accounts and name them, so it's just kind of a literal straight.
Yeah, there's not much difference in, the only thing is I just, you know, the 5.25, you're locking it in for 2 years. That's locked in, that's what you're gonna get. This other one, you may not get that, you know, a year from now. That's what a drawback, I see of that.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the differences there.
Most of those, you're not, I mean, even if you have to take them out, you're only penalized 3 months worth of interest payment is what you do if you have to cash them early. You know,
Right.
locking in the two-year rate now, if you don't think you're gonna have to use them, I would guess after this next 9-month one interest rate, I mean, they're not gonna be any higher, they may start going back the other way, but the 2-year, if you have to cash one in, you really don't lose anything other than 3 months, they penalize you 3 months worth of interest, you don't lose anything off the principal.
Right, yeah, you know, it's
Yeah.
principle.
I think I would kind of agree with Lisa on the aspect. I don't think that there's enough difference that I would change anything, considering the hassle that it would probably be.
It does sound simpler to go with that.
With the infit. The only thing with that is, 2 months from now, if rates start going the other way, it won't stay at 5.15, it'll start declining. I don't know that it's gonna decline real quickly.
At the end of 12 months, you could be down to 3%.
Yeah, what do you have your pool funds in? You've got all that,
CDs.
they're in CDs. Were those like in longer term ones? Because we had some CDs that were locked in at like 1% for whatever, a longer term CD. It's like, take the penalty you pay to redo those at the higher rate as well. I didn't know if you,
We might have a few that are probably less than 5.15. I'd have to look at that, I don't remember off the top of my head. We always go best rate, you know, when they mature.
and I didn't know how long you put them in for. I mean, if you've
We
done
go
them, if
best
you've done them
rate
2
for whatever.
years, if you had done some 2-3 years ago, you were at best making 1 or 2% on those,
There were
most
some
likely
that were
closer
like
to
2
1.
1/4 or 2.75.
Yeah, so it might be worth looking at those to take that 3-month penalty and lock those in for a 2-year like this at the 5 and change while you're doing all those.
Why are you holding funds for the airport? I mean, I know there's city.
Uh,
What is it?
So that is a little deceiving. East Airport is
Oh,
what
right,
is
I never
referred
mind.
to as that
Right,
ground
that's the ground out here from way back when.
out by the transfer station.
Right, I forgot.
And I'm assuming
Go back in the 30s.
that was land sale, that money was off of land sale, because I know they sold some to
The infamous
Bill
building.
Jeffers and, you know, I don't know. I
What's
don't
that
actually
thing?
know where that revenue actually came from.
Is that building being used?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's being rented.
The old operating plant, you mean?
No, out by the dump, just to the,
Oh,
Transfer station.
yeah, sorry. You think I know better, right?
So does the council need to make a motion to allow you to transfer money around, or are you just looking for a recommendation, or what actions would they need to take?
I guess that's up to you guys. If you're confident with, you know, me and Cody trying to find the best deal, I mean, we can certainly do that, just structure your motion that way, or if you wanna make it more specific about what you want where. Probably some type of a motion, just authorizing the movement, would be helpful. Where, especially if you want to move all of those funds, cause like I said, then you're over $318,000, that's a pretty good chunk of change.
I keep going back and forth. I like the idea of being able to keep the funds separate like that, but I also like the idea of locking in for 2 years and not having the possibility of that interest rate going down. So I kind of go back and forth on that.
Well, do some of both. I mean, if some funds you haven't needed and don't expect to need, put them into a 2-year CD. The others, say like the street department or water department, where you're going into the main street project, it might need a little more liquid,
Yeah.
put that into the other.
Yeah, and the stagnant ones for sure, that I feel fairly confident that we will not touch, would probably be the East Airport land, more than likely the park pool, I would say at this point in time is,
You know what, I'm gonna move that we authorize the staff to move these funds that she's got designated here, marked that total $318,341 to, what's the word, some longer term instruments or accounts as you see fit.
okay.
I'd second that.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Everybody understands the motion? Go ahead and call the roll.
Sean,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
All right, thanks. That was good discussion on that. Next item. Well, we're probably gonna have to go into executive session. Should we go ahead with the city administrator report now and do
That
that?
would be so nice of you.
Why don't we do that? Lisa, if you wanna.
Sure, so October, November are always busy months, you know, with the change of the fiscal years, and, you know, there's just a lot happening there in the office and software and payroll and all of that, so got that all worked through. Of Of course, the end of the fiscal year comes all of the annual reportings and things on the various loans and funds and grant funds and all of that, so worked on that. We did get the 2022 audit filed, and so as a result of that, the $150,000 in highway allocation came through on Monday. Yay. We will have AMGL on site December 6th and 7th. That's when they're planning to actually be here to do the 23 audit.
Get one done, start into another.
Yeah,
Wow,
so
that's
we're
nice.
already working on, with them, getting documents sent back and forth and getting reports pulled and all of that kind of good
Will
stuff.
they need to talk to any councilman?
I would
or us?
imagine, yes,
Will they let us know who they need ahead of time, so?
I'm guessing.
Was that Dane F. Cole that did the 22? How late was it? I mean, I'm sure they did extensions, but how late was it from when it would have normally been filed? I mean, are we talking like 10 plus months probably, or March?
Since I
And you
was
weren't
here-
penalized in that other than not getting your
They just
highway
told us.
allocation?
Otherwise, we get it monthly, right?
If we didn't have it filed by November 5th, they were gonna keep it.
So it got filed on November 4th?
We were, enough, moving on. Do you, you took bids, who's this firm again you're using now?
AMGL out of
From-
Grand Island,
Right. Okay.
so, it'll be all new, it'll be interesting, you know.
Yeah, new
I mean,
auditors are
I'm
fun.
scared but interesting.
No, I
Good.
think
I
Scary
think
in
it's
a
good,
good
I think
way.
it's good, you go a different direction.
No, it'll be interesting, just, you
they'll
know.
pull things you never thought of,
Yeah.
and ignore stuff that you always had to dig up, so.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
No, I do too, I'm kind of actually looking forward to it, so. And they've, so far, they've been really prompt, you know, and really on the ball, really good to work with, so. That's nice.
So get that cash out of your middle drawer and get it in the.
Right, we do go daily, just so you know. News Channel Nebraska was in town, they filmed 2 little short snippets, promotional videos, and so we had some volunteer community members that did a little blip on it as well. I think they turned out really nice. They're airing on the news channel, I guess, at various times throughout the day. So I don't know if anybody's seen them.
I just heard from a couple people how much better I looked than the white-haired mayor on TV.
I don't know if I get that, Chuck. Is that just a dedicated, that news
I
channel?
just said I heard from a couple people how much better I looked on TV than the white-haired mayor, so.
What is that, what channel is that? Is it channel?
No idea, I
I
don't
don't
have
know.
cable.
Yeah, it changes basically.
Don't ask a radio guy or a newspaper guy what channel something is.
Come on, you watch
Okay.
TV sometime, I know
I
you
get
do.
calls at the radio station. What channel's the Husker game on? I say 1400. No, I mean the TV. I said you called the radio station. It's on 1400 1063. And that's what I tell every one of them that call.
It varies with your, you know, your
Yeah.
provider, but I was thinking that I emailed those to you guys, did I not? If I didn't, I will. I can send those to you, and there's links that you can watch
I'm sure I just get on
the videos.
Silver, not white.
Mine's pure white,
Whatever.
so okay.
that. Did
What
I
radio,
always
what radio station you broadcast the Iowa game on?
Iowa.
You know, the Big
You
Ten
can,
West
I don't know if they
leaders.
just pay me enough in sponsorships to broadcast unwatchable Hawkeye football.
It's pretty slow, but
We're still working on FEMA from 2019, DR 4420. I have sent information in probably 6 different times, like the full gamut of information. They keep reassigning who's working on it, and it has
This is
been
disaster
so
assistance from.
unbelievably frustrating.
I still think there's enough money there that we still need to keep after it.
It's all still sitting there.
How much and when was which disaster?
2019 flood.
Do you know how much you're still needing? How much?
526,000.
You're still at 526,
Go in the county at 4 something,
300 and change.
300.
And they haven't got theirs either?
They haven't got all of theirs. They've got about 300,000 and change that they haven't got back yet. They've had some, but they had this exact same discussion Tuesday, and Kenny said it was still 300,000 and a little change that they have.
Yeah,
I don't know if they just try to frustrate governmental entities until they quit
you know,
trying to get it or what. but
Well, Buddy
That's a
Small
huge
made,
amount for you guys, boy.
yeah,
Yeah,
Buddy
it is.
Small made the comment that some counties just give up.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
had that
Half a
discussion
million.
with the new guy. That guy said, you know, I don't mean to take it out on you, you're the messenger, you know, but I have sent this and sent this and sent it. You have nothing? You know, you literally have nothing. And he said, no, if you can send it all again. So I sent it all again. I have gotten some further correspondence back from him, so I think that's a positive sign.
Are they under a timeline to have to get that to you? I mean, this is 4 years out
That'd be a
since the
topic for your
damage.
representative or your senator. Holy cow.
I think he's aware. I feel like the day I was talking to him, it was the same spiel he had probably heard all day long from everyone.
Because this is at the federal level, not the state level that you're having to deal with, right?
Well,
Is
the
FEMA not NEMA?
The
Or is it
federal
NEMA?
like dumped it all on NEMA back in
And NEMA's
like
the one that keeps
22.
switching them?
Yeah.
Oh, it's me.
It is
NEMA
NEMA,
has
okay.
had tons of turnover.
Oh, so it's a state-based thing now?
Right,
It's
now-
giving
well,
it
it's still
fits.
federal funds, but
Right.
it's in the hands of the state to disseminate. I think NEMA has to process it, and then they send the final approval to FEMA, and then FEMA awards, but
But they never
NEMA
sent it to
hasn't
me.
even gotten to where they sent it to FEMA.
May have to have Greg Wilkie get him involved and have him call his buddy.
Yeah.
The governor,
Mm-hmm. Couple
So,
of pig farmers could discuss that and get her handled.
right?
Or our
and actually, there will be more than the 500,000, because at the very end of the day, when we wrap up, that, then I can bill for administrative reimbursement, which at this point seems to be
$500,000.
a fair amount of money.
Right? Sitting at 6 times?
I've had to
Yeah.
submit this stuff so many times,
Yeah.
you know, and they allow you to keep racking that up, so
well, you darned.
I've been keeping
square we
track
are.
of my time.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's kind of been a month plagued with this type of stuff. Our SAM registration, I had all kinds of problems with that. I did get that resolved finally. Law enforcement, you know, Joel already kind of spoke to that a little bit. I do want to give, just a recognition to Brian Delamont and Amy Salzman, who have very nicely volunteered on their own accord to come up and open the building on, early mornings and weekends. So that's nice that we have community members that are willing to help out.
And you're still the one pretty much walking it?
I am. I think that's going to get kind of troublesome now that basketball has started, because there's so many more people who use this facility now, and with the colder temperatures, there's more people wanting to come in and walk and work out, and locking it up at 8 probably isn't gonna, you know, really work now. So we have looked into, we've been working with a company called Safe and Secure, who is here on Monday, to give us a quote on like some kind of a card swipe or something on the north door. So we'll see when that quote comes back, we'll talk about that more, and hopefully by then we will have been able to have had a meeting, you know, where we can talk about that too, but it's been,
It still doesn't solve your problem of walking through and seeing who's here and making sure everybody's out.
Have you
Because
had
we've
any,
already
have
had
you
the
had any
problem.
issues?
We've already had the issues.
You have had issues
Yeah.
with people not wanting to leave or just not?
trying to sleep. in
Trying to stay here
the
overnight.
You sure get that down, will you?
Mm-hmm.
And then we kick them out of here and they go to the park, try to sleep in the restrooms at the park, and we've had some issues with that too.
Your comment here says, were eventually handled by the sheriff's office. What kind of, I assume you're talking about the lag time from when you call them to when they get here?
It's about an hour, 45 minutes. And, you know, I understand if they're out doing things, you know, but,
Not every night.
but yeah, we had some issues out at the park too, and, the school and us worked out plans basically to have that facility locked up at the end of the day with, if the school is using it, the coaches or whoever lock it up. Now that football's over, it'll mostly just be Jimmy, probably locking that when he leaves at 4:30 every day, so.
Then he unlocks that toilet out there every day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And,
So
you know,
they're not winterized, they're open all the time.
Yeah, they're heated.
Yeah.
And we've had those issues at the park in the past, and, you know, I don't really wanna get into all of that, but we had a good collaboration once upon a time with that kind of thing. It is what it is.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. We're figuring it
I
out.
will continue to work on it.
And then, you know, the 2 lawsuits that we're involved in, there's been a lot of back and forth amongst those, which we'll probably talk about here in a second. We had a pre-construction meeting on the North Main Street paving project. We had Myers Construction here, that's who was awarded the bid, Olson's. He's a really nice guy, I think he'll be fun to work with. Seems very competent. Their planning at that point in time was to start by December 1. But then the longer we met and we were talking about plans and, you know, how are you gonna do X, Y, Z, they kinda got into, well, with the holidays and people wanting time off, we might just wait until after the first of the year. So he was gonna go back and talk to his, you know, powers that are and get back to me. So I still don't have like a solid, this is the day we're gonna be in town.
But don't you think that's better considering we'll know
I
by then
do.
what the state's, if the state punts, like on some of their projects.
I do
that
think
happen,
it would be better, and I think when he left here, that's where he was leaning.
in case they don't get any bids. or-
Yeah, if the state doesn't get any bids, are you guys gonna still go through with this and have it done?
Well, he's on a deadline because of the CDBG grant.
Right.
It
Yeah.
has to
We
be
about
done.
have to, we about have to go ahead with it.
Yeah, we got that locked in.
Cut off all the sewer and water at the highway and people are out of luck on the other side.
I mean, we've had these
Is
conversations.
that a direct quote?
Yeah, you put that there.
So, you know, I know Olson is aware of that
Yeah.
probability, because Olson was the engineer in Valentine as well, and, you know,
So
they've been through
through
that.
this.
So, I mean, we're aware of those things, and we're kinda just crossing our fingers and hoping it
Yeah,
doesn't
'cause
happen.
As far as I don't know when they're gonna try to let the
They
bids
haven't
on.
let bids for the.
No,
December.
December is when they're, last
Yeah.
I knew, that was the
We
I
plan.
would think,
I got
I
it.
would think they'd get,
Yeah.
now they may not like the bids, but I would think they'd get a bid or two on that, I would think.
That's awful late. People might have.
For spring, yeah,
contractors
they're
might have
thinking for
to-
spring, is that when they still wanna
Yeah.
start?
March, yeah.
Some of
Yeah,
those
a lot of them might
contractors
be
already
lined
got
up,
their
yeah.
jobs lined up.
oh, yeah.
You could probably get an extension on the CDBG from the state, could you not? I mean,
Yes,
Well,
you
about
go-
that much
what are you
paperwork.
gonna do? You know, you
That's
can't
right.
do half a project.
and they're well aware that we're hitched, you know,
We're
that
tied
some
to
of
it.
that's kind of not in our control. So, yes, I don't think we'd be.
I'm glad they
super
didn't
penalized.
start.
But, you know, you wanna do it like you said you're gonna do it if you can. And then finally, we just, the fire suppression system, I kinda wanna just rip it out and throw it away. We had,
There's a quote for you.
You have a standing order for the fire department
Yeah.
to bring gas, not water?
Right, yeah, and oxygen, fluid in there. So the newest thing now is we had a sprinkler line break on Sunday, and it happened to be in the attic above the mechanical room, and we just had water everywhere. Sean went back there with me before the meeting, because I'm gonna need his help.
That's gonna be a nightmare.
Basically, that ceiling, a big portion of it is ruined, it's sheet rocked. It's gonna have to come down, and it's gonna have to come down anyway for them to repair that line. Nebraska Safety and Fire was here, and of course, it's down on the, you know, the lowest part of the peak, and they really can't get in there to fix it, so the ceiling was gonna have to probably come out anyway, just to get them to fix it.
Did it freeze? Wasn't that cold?
I don't know I don't know how, it was 70,
Yeah,
Degrees
that's
on
true. Sunday was great.
so. I don't really know. I don't think they really knew, other than, you know, it's 20-some years old and,
Yep.
you know,
Your insurance covered some of that, I don't know what your deductible is.
I don't know what the cost of that is gonna be yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, then because the sprinkler system tripped, it threw the pump out, basically, and so the pump was shooting water everywhere again, and we had water at the threshold of the door. So Monday morning, I spent a couple hours mopping up water, trying to keep it away from the door, and sandbagging while Nebraska Safety and Fire was here, trying to get the valve shut off. We did eventually get it all, we had to shut the water down to the building to get it to quit.
That one year it did it, it got on the gym floor and we had to redo the gym floor.
It was like $30,000 to fix the floor, yeah, so it's been very frustrating. They did get the pump fixed, and at the end of the day, we found some other, cause and effect that it didn't dial out like it was supposed to. So, like, if you wouldn't have called me, I had no idea, we'd have a mess clearing the gym floor again, so it's good that, I don't know if they got a call from Park Homes or.
Somebody got a call to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office called me right away, and I was actually coming right down the street, I was a block away, so I pulled in and then called you.
Well, the
What's
long.
your fine for not having a fire suppression system or just leaving it turned off or the valve closed?
Well, I kind of said, actually, because when he had to shut it down, we were without, so, we had to sign a waiver or like something, which, they're trying to cover their butt, but I'm like, we can't have it, for a week of water just seeping under that threshold. So the long story of it is, probably next week, they're gonna come back and fix the sprinkler. I think maybe Sean's and his crew can help us out with the ceiling, it sounds like, to get that taken down so that when the guy gets here, he can fix it. And I'd like to put in some kind of a barrier in that mechanical room, whether it's a poured concrete lip or what it is, across from where where the heat pump unit runs back in there to the wall, to keep it so that water cannot make it to the door.
And there's a drain.
The concrete is, I don't know who did the work back there, but they did a really bad job. The slope to the drain is useless. Like, the water actually slopes away from the drain, back to the wall, and follows the wall to the corner and around to the door.
I guess as long as that water isn't raised high enough that it gets into electrical.
Oh, I don't know, but it would have.
Is there any, I think those panels are above the ground quite a bit, aren't they?
Mhm. Well, and
Right.
Nebraska Safety and Fire, a year ago when we had this issue, put an external drain from the pump directly. So most of the water from the pump is going out the building, but for the wet system that's still feeding through the compressor into the pump, that's just getting thrown everywhere, and that's the water that's making it to the door.
So Nebraska Fire and Safety is doing all those sprinkler systems?
Mhm.
They are.
The only thing they don't do is the panel, and there's all kinds of issues with the panel. And then I was informed when they were here that the dialer attached to the panel, that it's failing. It's failing to make the calls to the sheriff's office and sometimes to me. And it's actually not a certified dialer. So if there ever was a fire here and we tried to make an insurance claim, it probably would not.
So it's kind of interesting if you guys do the ambulance barn now. Nebraska Fire and Safety did the fire hall when it was built, but they won't do the ambulance barn because they say they don't do sprinkler systems anymore.
Really?
So the contract is with Bullseye
Yeah, in Norfolk. I called them.
to do our, because Nebraska Fire and Safety said they won't do sprinkler systems, they don't do that anymore, so they got Bullseye, but Nebraska Fire and Safety was here to do the alarm system, but they won't touch the water system, so Bullseye is doing the water system.
So truth be told, I haven't been real happy with Nebraska Safety and Fire, and I had done some calling around to a couple of companies in Norfolk, because, we've just been fighting this.
Bullseye's supposed to be up first of the week.
And I talked to Bullseye, but they do sprinklers, but they don't do panels. And there was
I
another,
move we adjourn.
there's another company in Norfolk I talked to, and
Jeez.
they're the same way, they'll do one but not the other.
Really?
How can you
There's
not
like,
do, aren't
Nebraska
they?
Safety and Fire is the only one that I know that does it, will do it all.
But I think so they don't do sprinklers.
Well, that's
They don't-
why I
they won't
was
do our sprinklers.
surprised.
Oh,
From the sounds of it, I would, in your investment discussion earlier, your general funds, you may want that liquid. Because it sounds like you're gonna have to declare an emergency instead of trying to go out for bids, because you got a problem here.
Well, it's just an ongoing, and basically, like I said, the short of it is, this out here I learned, the guy that came here, yesterday from Nebraska Safety Fire, he is a good he's from Scottsbluff. I wish he was our guy all the time, because he's knowledgeable and he's communicative. But basically, the the detector out here, he said we can't just buy one and plug it in there. It
Oh,
has
you
to be programmed into the panel.
Oh, okay. I couldn't find one either.
So at the end of the day, he's like, you need a new panel. Because
And I
it's
asked-
not dialing, it's not, and you're just gonna keep having these problems.
What are the ramifications of going without it? Is it are you gonna get hammered with a big insurance increase? What literally are the ramifications of just going without a system?
It's probably code, isn't
Yeah,
it?
public
Is it?
building.
State- I
For
think
public building?
State fire
We could-
marshal wouldn't allow
We had to put the system in the ambulance barn and we had to sprinkle it too,
Okay,
because it is a public building.
gotcha.
Can they be
Those
dry or do they
things.
have to be water?
It has to be water.
Yeah, I don't think
Just
that's an option, because I kinda said something about that to them, and he's like, I don't think you'll get away with that.
Hmm.
When I generaled the project of turning the shop into bomb guards, I used a company out of North Platte that come in and did all the fire suppression and stuff, and I think they did some work with the panel also. I don't remember the name, but I could probably,
Electronic systems,
yeah, I believe so.
that's who put this one in,
Okay, out of North Platte,
I think so.
okay.
With a non-compliant phone dialer?
Yeah, it's a mess. and
Well, it may have
that's
been, I mean, it was
just-
built
well, it's
20 years ago,
Yeah.
so.
Well, you can't expect a system to last 20 years on a building that's gotta last 100, is that what we're saying?
I'm just saying the dialer may have been up to code then, and now,
How old are your heat pumps?
20 years.
We've replaced a couple of them,
Oh, you have?
You say they're good for about 10 years, I've been told.
but we haven't replaced all of them. So, yeah, anyway, I guess that's just ongoing saga. I'm supposed to be getting a quote from them on,
Do they make fire systems?
A new
or it just
panel.
doesn't need code?
so
Don't make
I'm
code.
imagining
It
it's
just
gonna be
doesn't blow out right away.
$25,000 to $35,000 though, probably.
Well, I will say that if anybody looks at it after we pull it out and put the new sheetrock in, it's gonna look like a puzzle. If you go look in that room, it's gonna be a lot of pieces this big.
That's all right.
There's no way around it. Now, is there gonna have to be insulation put back up there again then?
I would imagine, otherwise those lines will freeze, right?
Well, I wonder if we couldn't just go back up there with bat insulation instead of that stuff,
I bet you could.
because that's gonna be a mess.
Yeah. I bet you could go back with that insulation and get it held up there. Would be better.
Yeah, that would be definitely a plan, and have to do something like that.
I do think it needs to be insulated though.
Yeah, I agree. I just didn't know if that was part of what you wanted out of us, or,
I mean, I asked Sean to help me out because I need that done
That's his
before they come and
expertise.
shred it. So I mean, I presume that's all right.
No, it's terrible.
So that's all I've got.
all right.
Lots of positive things.
All right, well, last item is, deals with some litigation, so.
I'd like to make one comment though. With the upcoming snow and stuff like that, I guess I'd like to make it, the residents to be aware of, if they got trailers and stuff parked on side streets and stuff like that, for our street crews to get the snow removed, our side streets are not places to park trailers and trucks for all year round. And I understand vehicles and stuff, that's where people park and stuff, but when they just park trailers there and just leave them there, because that's the best place to park them, and they have to move snow around them, and somebody parks one on one side of the street, somebody parks one on the other side of the street, it makes that street a one-lane street, so. I'd like to, hopefully their residents will adhere to that and kind of keep the trailers off the street during the winter.
We probably have some kind of ordinance, how long? can
I think we
that-
do have an ordinance with that.
The sheriff will probably take care of that.
He will.
All right, anything else before somebody suggests we go into?
The motion?
Would one of these cases still be related to the city street shop? Was that one of the two? Were you a defendant in the other one, or? was
This,
that-
this particular one isn't with the city street shop.
I move we go to executive session to discuss litigation.
Thanks, everyone.
Motion and second. Yeah, thanks, folks. Call roll.
Sean?
Yes.
Brad? Ken?
Yes.
All right, we're in an executive session at 5:50 to discuss litigation.
Because I didn't have any of that in my story. Back then, I don't remember ever talking about that.
You folks have a good night.
You too, okay.
Thanks.
You want the
Thanks,
short
guys.
close?
Sure.
If you would